Hello, this is Angela from Create for Living. I know it's been a while, but I'm very excited to share with you my July 2019 setup. And I'm doing things a little differently. It might seem a little strange that I'm sharing this with you at the end of July, but I wanted to show you basically a flip-through of my whole bullet journal. So that was my moods, and this is my overview calendar. So this is kind of an after the pen at the end of the month, showing you a little bit of my process. These were my dailies for the first week. This is some treasures, memories that I had that I did in bubbles. Here you have some more dailies with a quote page as well, using jellyfish. And there's some more dailies using seahorses and a packing page, preparing for an overseas trip that I've got coming up with a Dutch door. And then my current weeklies with a review page at the end using a lighthouse theme. So as you can see, I've done everything this month just using Unipin pen and in different sizes, 0.3 and 0.5 mostly. And now that I'm finished the month and I have a little bit more time with it being holidays, I'm going to add some color to my cover page. So I wanted to show you just a little bit of how my process works. Picking up a pen and being able to create pages anywhere, anytime without needing to carry paints and various things with me makes it easier for me to set up and start using my pages rather than necessarily needing to have done all the watercolor work beforehand. It also creates an opportunity for me to do coloring in as a therapeutic exercise throughout the month. So I set this up as I went, and now that it's the end of the month or towards the end of the month, last week, I'm just spending a little bit of time on the weekend adding a bit of color. So you can see I'm doing the sand line there, some browns and golds, and just trying to be really light with my water. This is an arch and olive and they don't have coated pages, so I'm still learning how to change my technique so that I don't use too much water to blend on the page, which tends to be my habit. I probably need to use some sort of palettes, but I didn't this time, so I think that's what I would improve next time. So I'm just putting different colors of blue, try and get this watery effect now. You can see I'm just doing a quite dry brush and just making sure I move the water around so it doesn't pool too much. I'm just trying to add those flows of the water of the beach, just really giving it a hint of color to my page. This whole video is in real time. I usually speed up my videos, but I wanted to show you that I basically just spent 15 minutes essentially just painting this page, a little less with the flip-throughs and such, but that's kind of how long it takes throughout the month. Drawing each of these pages in pen probably takes me about 20 minutes, so each week I try and find 20 minutes just to set up the next weekly with a couple of sketches. And I found it really has simplified my process, just sitting with pen, off camera, enjoying just drawing whatever it is in my bigger theme that I would like to draw. And then when I have opportunity, I can add watercolor. Though I must say I have been enjoying just the dark pen look on these pages. But I wanted to see how this would look painted in, and I do love just adding color and paints. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the black and whites, or do you prefer a bit of color? This particular page I did pencil in before I used a pen, which helps me just kind of figure out where things are going to be. I usually, when I pencil things in, just put the overall positioning of things rather than put in the detail. I tend to just go straight in with detail with my pen rather. And the Unipin pen is waterproof. All the pens I generally use, normally it's Faber-Castell, Artist Pit, or a Unipin pen, are always waterproof, fade-proof ink, so that you can just add watercolor on top and it doesn't smudge. And so it does create a template to kind of color in, so to speak. And that definitely is my preferred process inside my bullet journal, to have the picture drawn in first and then add the paints afterwards. So I'm just adding a little bit of a darker color around the tortoise, which just gives a little bit more definition. Tortoises sorry, turtles. Turtles are very, very close to my heart because I have always found them to be fascinating creatures, and I had the privilege a couple of years ago of being in Australia and watching some turtles hatching and then travelling down to the ocean, and it was just such a lovely thing to see and to be a part of that whole process in the middle of the night. It was literally midnight, and we were on this beach and we were able to see all these little hatchlings and guide them to the ocean. So just a really, really special time to take all those turtles and see their process. So this really lent to that. On that same holiday, I also got to go snorkeling, and while we were snorkeling, we were looking around at different corals, and suddenly I looked up and there was this really big, about the size of this one, turtle just swimming past peacefully as if it hadn't even noticed me, and it was just such a special bucket list moment, so really precious. So I'm thinking about all of those things while I'm busy painting, and really just trying to add lots of different colors, thinking about not being too perfect, trying to think of lights and darks so that it gives that kind of watery effect. I wanted to do a lot more with this, but because I didn't want to overwork the page, I didn't blend too much, and I didn't put browns underneath and do too many layers. So I just wanted to do as little paint as possible and get that kind of overall quick effect. Also bearing in mind that I just wanted to spend about 10-15 minutes on this because I wanted to do a real-time video for you. So I'm just adding a little bit of different colors in blue. And now I thought it would be quite fun to just give the speckled effect. You can't really see it too well on camera, but it really does create that kind of bubble effect, and it's just that kinetic fun. I think it's so important with your bullet journal and with your painting and creativity to just have fun. Just sprinkle. Because the lights weren't showing up, I thought, well, darks on top of those light colors would show up more. As you can see, they do. And so just had a little bit of fun, made it a little bit more messy. But there's something about engaging in the page and not freaking out if things don't go quite to plan, but enjoying interacting with art. That is really special, and I think part of why I bullet journal. So because I got that a little wet, I thought I'd better grab my heat tool and dry things off, which I do. And my hand's totally covered in paint at this point. It's all watercolour, it'll come off, but it was kind of fun, like a kid playing in the mud after the rain. There was something really releasing about that, just to interact. And I'll show you the page behind. This is my mood tracker. You can see very, very lightly a little bit of blue coming through. As I dry, it does fade quite considerably. There is a very, very slight, almost ghosting there, and that's just because the paint really blotched and sat too long on the page, and because it's not coated and it was really wet, it went through. So just those few little specks, but otherwise it's held up pretty well considering how many layers of watercolor I have put on. Right, so I'm going to look at the beach now. I think that's what I do next. I'm just choosing my colors. Yep, so I'm going to do the shell, and I'm adding a little bit of a sort of pinky hue. I'm using a magenta color to kind of give it that sort of shine, and then a mustardy color, sand color. I just wanted it to have kind of these, I don't know, reflection of unusual colors like the pinks and the beach colors. And so I'm adding a little bit of brown on top of that and just blending it around as if there's a little piece of shell maybe that I've broken off, and I'm just spreading that around so that's all kind of adds a little bit of uniformity to the page. Also adding some sprinkles for the beach, and I'm just going to keep that sprinkling. It didn't work as well, I felt, with the brown sprinkling on the whites. I think my paintbrush wasn't maybe wet enough, and so it wasn't sprinkling very well. Maybe I needed a bigger paintbrush, or maybe I needed to do the wet knock effect. I'm not sure. And I think I still had a little bit of blue on my paintbrush, so it didn't quite do what I wanted to, but that's all part of the process. I just blended that out with some brown just very lightly adding colour to the page. I didn't want this to be too dark and too perfect. I just wanted it to be like a shimmer of colour. And so I'm trying again the speckle with a darker colour, and that did work better, but you can't necessarily see it on the page. And I also allowed some of that brown sand to go into the beach. I'm doing the starfish, be this magenta colour as well, just lightly dabbing colour over. You can see my hands are totally blue from blue paint, and again I'm just echoing that magenta throughout. Echoing paint is kind of a concept that I think, I'm not sure I've heard anyone else say it, it's just a way that I think of painting, is where you think about paint like a sound that goes across your page, and where it might echo, if it was a sound to travel, just creates a uniformity across the page if you echo those colours, or you repeat them in other places across the page where you might feel like it's just slightly softer, slightly more watered down, but just throughout the page. And now I'm just going to work on my little green turtle. So just looking at the darker spaces first. I wasn't quite sure what colour I wanted to use with this, so I'm just trying out different colours. And turtles kind of have a mix of greens and browns, and so that's kind of where I'm going. I kind of like the light green looking at this now, but I do end up adding quite a bit of brown and darker colours to it. So I'm just wanting to create that literally tortoise shell or turtle shell colour, and just playing around with different greens, trying to blend them a little bit but not overwork the page. So it's a little dark green, just trying to be a little bit messier so that I have more of a watery colour. And then I just had a little bit more paint on the brush than I intended on that dab, so just trying to spread it around, mix it with other colours, go with it. And you can see that's starting to take shape now. So I'm adding some dark brown just to give that little bit of a dirty, aged, algae kind of look to the shell that they often have, especially when they're older, bigger turtles. And so I just want to create the little detail around the edging with the darker colours and the lights. Now, generally in watercolour you should start with the lighter colours and then the dark, and I kind of did this back to front, which didn't work too well, so I would encourage you to start with just a lighter layer and then go into the darker layers after. You'll get a much neater, much more effective overall look. And then I decided I wanted to add a little bit more yellow and brightness to it. Yellow mixing with the green I thought would give it a bit more of a different colour, and it works a little bit. It wasn't quite what I was going for. You can see at the bottom near the head, I like the effect that I'm getting there, and I just needed to work it through. I might have needed to let the paint dry a little bit before I did it. It was just a little bit more opaque than I needed the paint to be, I think. So, but that gives me my overall effect and my little turtle. And so now I'm just going to write the word July, and I picked one of my really dark blues for this, and so it's actually got quite a bit of paint on the paintbrush, and I was just a little concerned that that paint just sitting there might bleed through, so I just dried it straight away. And decided to dry my tortoise as well. These heat guns are such a time saver. It used to take me hours having to wait between layers, so I really like being able to dry between. And I know you do get a little crinkling if you use a heat gun, but because the Archer and Olive notebooks have such thick paper, it really does hold up and reshape very, very well. And so you've just got to be conscious of how you're heat drying, and not just do one spot over and over, but maybe spread it around, come from underneath, and allow the page to reshape by putting it underneath something heavy in your book for a day or two, and it comes back pretty well. So I've never had a problem with that. And that's the end of my July 2019 cover page with a little bit of a watercolor effect. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a bit of my process. I'll have a quick flip through again. So this is my mood tracker. I've been using brush pens and Crayola markers for my mood tracker. Oh, yeah, so that flip through was just to show you that it didn't bleed through at all, and I just want to make sure everything's 100% dry. On my turtle. Sorry about the big hand in the shot. Alright, so let's have a look through. So that's my mood tracker, as I said. And there's a gratitude log on the right. This is my overall calendar. Would you like to see this painted? I wasn't sure whether I should do the same thing, paint those octopus and all these little turtles, let me know. And then there's a memory page, my last weeklies with jellyfish, packing Dutch door, and my lighthouse page. So do let me know whether you want this page with the octopus done, and I look forward to seeing you in August. Alright, bye.